Hey guys, so today we're doing a really fun project because it's something new. We're going to be dipping maple leaves in resin. These leaves I've been holding on to for so many months, like at least 6 months. I've collected them from all over, from Toronto, from lots of different places in Ontario, and they're beautiful. I have a really good collection to pick from, and they're so pastel reds and pinks and oranges, and I am excited, and hopefully this project goes well because I've been wondering what to use these for. I didn't want to do a huge project. One time I did a bunch of coasters with these leaves in it, and that was super fun. But I think this project, the same feeling will come across, and I just want to be able to display these really beautifully and possibly hang them up on a keychain. We have a few small enough leaves to make some earrings, so that's always really exciting. And I'm going to be going through a little bit of a different technique than usual for this project. So I'm excited to talk about them individually with you afterwards, but let's get on to creating these resin leaf charms. First thing I do is prep my workspace. So for this resin technique that we're going to be using, I need a slick surface of just packaging tape. So I layer a bunch of packaging tape over newsprint, and then I get out my materials that I want to work with. Looking at these materials actually makes me really excited for fall. Fall is one of the most beautiful seasons. It's where you get the craziest of colors. And I think fall might be the most contemplative of seasons. Who knows that reference? I'm excited for this project because we're basically making the mold out of hot glue. We're going to be making hot glue barriers around each leaf and really following the shape of the leaf really organically. So when we pour the resin, there's going to be so much emphasis on the beautiful organic shape of these things. I also have a couple leaves from a previous project that I had already dipped in resin, but they were a little bit too thin for my liking. They would break pretty soon. They were more like laminated than encased in resin, so I decided to make a barrier for them and also do the same technique on these two. So they will be a little bit extra reinforced leaves. I only plan to do a couple of layers of resin for these. So one resin on the bottom, place the leaf in, and then sandwich it together with a top coat of resin. I mixed together the resin in a little silicone measuring cup. It's a 2-part resin, 50-50, and I slowly mix that together to create as little air bubbles as possible. And I pour a little bit of resin onto the packaging tape just to cover it. I don't need the leaves to be submerged in the resin yet. This is just the resin that will hold them in place until we can finish them off. So at this point, I make sure that they're not sliding around too much and that it cures and gets sticky with everything in the center of the molds that we created. I work kind of quickly because in this case, I warmed up my resin in some hot water, and that cuts down on the working time a little bit. And we're doing a lot of pieces in this project for sure, but I'm able to actually work surprisingly quickly because it's such a simple method that we're using here. Most of the prep work starts before you even pour the resin. So I was able to get all of these leaves down without the resin getting sticky or stretchy or stringy or gross. I let these sit for at least 10 hours, and then it's hard enough that I can add the second layer of resin. I don't need to get onto a tangent about how much I love working with organic materials. Coating these with resin just gives me a second to magnify and view every single inch of these pieces in a different way. I can accentuate the colors and I can make it shiny and beautiful, and that is super satisfying to me. Once the second layer is poured down completely, I end up with this big slab of resin, which is actually such a beautiful piece. If I just left it as a big slab, a wall of resin, like this is kind of inspiring me for something else in the future. It is really fragile, which is good in this case because we have to rip it apart. This was just due to my messiness and the excess use of resin. But these are completely covered and thick enough that I'm completely happy with them. There's no leaves poking out. But I do accidentally break one of the leaves. Oh, it was my favorite leaf too. I thought it was the prettiest one, but yeah, that was definitely a lesson. It was more of a longer leaf and it was more susceptible to breaking, and that happened, so rest in peace. Carefully unwrap all the glue and peel off all the resin. We're going to be using our Dremel a lot in this situation. I have some pliers that help me rip some of the resin as well. At least one mistake has to happen per video, so that happened. Great, moving on. So I process these pieces a little bit longer and work on getting really smooth edges so we can polish it up and move it on to the drilling of holes stage and turning them to actually jewelry. As I sand them, I also use a brush to get rid of all the excess dust because the dust is so annoying, but the dremeling part is also really relaxing for me. Especially for these pieces, I'm not sure why, but like following these organic lines of the leaf was hypnotic in a way. Another reason that I probably will retry this project sometime soon. I like it because it opens me up to a lot of different sized leaves. Like sometimes I look at a leaf and I'm like, that's way too big. I'll never have a mold for that. But if I create my own mold in this way, I think it might open up a lot of possibilities. So once all the pieces are the shape that I want, I can use some polish to clear up all the scratches that we just made with our Dremel. This turns all that white, dusty resin into crystal clear and you can hardly tell. So that's a really nice trick. I use my drill to drill some small holes into each of the pieces. So you'll also need some pliers for this step, very useful. I really need to invest in a better set of pliers, and I can get out my jewelry making things. So I have some chains, I have some eye pins that I'm gonna be using on most of them. I can turn one pair of these leaves into some earrings, and I use my jump rings to connect everything. For now, I've connected them all together into one big piece, which I really admire looking at them like this. I like stringing them up on my van like this, and they're definitely an accent piece. They have so much character and color, and I love them so much. So I think the earrings turned out so lovely. I think they're a really good size. They're not too big, which was the worry, but I feel like these days you can get away with really big earrings and people just give you bigger compliments. So I love these little red leaves as the set of earrings. They were a good shape and size to be paired together. Besides the little hiccup, we ended up getting some really beautiful, colorful pieces. I think this one is my favorite. It is just a really pretty, almost pink tones, and it also turned out really smooth and clear, and you can just admire every little inch of it. Very few air bubbles. There are only a few air bubbles on the back, but I think the front and the backs of these leaves are almost equally beautiful. There's definitely a little bit more color pigment in the front, but then the back, you can see the veins really clearly, and I don't know, it's just, I love when they twirl around and give me the full effect. So this leaf here we did in a previous project. This was kind of like the prototype, the little test of how to do this glue gun barrier, and I only ended up doing one layer of this. This is what happens when you don't sandwich it in resin. It protrudes out the front a little bit, so it has that super organic natural texture. Not as appealing to the eye, but then we got these ones, super pretty. I love how the resin just follows the shape of the leaves. Here's a nice yellow one with pointy little edges. Here's a smaller one. This one technically has 3 coats of resin on it, so it's a little bit sturdier. And this one I decided to leave the stem on just to try something different, see how I liked it. It definitely gave more room to drill a hole in, but I like this leaf too because it has a little blotch of red, yellow, and green. I'm glad we got a green one in here. Okay, did I say the other one was my favorite? Because I changed my mind. This one is my favorite. It's an even deeper pink red with those yellow spots and the orange. This one did go through it a little bit more. The resin didn't turn out as nicely. You can see on the back, there's a little scratch from the Dremel jumped out of my hands. But the color and the shape of this leaf is so interesting to me. I think it's really, really cool. And I love the veins also. The veins really make the leaf. Those natural patterns, captivating. And then the one on the end here, we have this leaf, which definitely has a unique shape to it. It's very pointy and colorful, and that's another thing. These are all so unique, even though they went through the exact same process. But that's nature. They're all very unique, even though it's the same thing. Beautiful, colorful, and different leaves, all from the same tree. Not actually from the same tree, but they could be maple leaves. And I love the composition of, this isn't exactly how I'm gonna sell it or might use them for different charms later on, but all together, such a good color combination. We have the red, we have the green, we have the yellow. It's basically like a natural traffic light. This piece just tells me to slow down and enjoy nature, stop and smell the roses, and then go collect some more. I don't know. Anyways, this was a really fun project. I think I'm going to string it up like this, just among my other chains, and be able to admire all these for a little while before it has a life of its own. I don't know where this is gonna go, but yay! Should I just add it to my glasses? Be like, this is normal. This is the newest glosses accessories. Isn't it a statement? So thank you so much for watching me learn how to make these. If you guys want me to do something similar in the future, like possibly use this organic mold creation on a flower, on a beautifully shaped pressed flower, that could be really fun. In a recent video, I also tried this technique on a dandelion, a pressed dandelion that I pressed in the microwave. I was obsessed with dandelions for a week, so you should check out that video to see a little bit more of the beauty and creativity that can be found in the mundane, in the everyday, in a simple little weed or a little maple leaf lying on the sidewalk. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good one, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.